Hello chickens! So today I'm going to be giving you guys some shifting tips and shifting advice. This is for baby shifters, or for people that have lost motivation in shifting, or for people that just can't really make any progress with shifting. And just a disclaimer, these are just my tips. These are the things that I did to help me successfully shift. They may not work for you, they may work for you. This is just my advice from my personal experience. So yeah, I don't want a long intro, so I'm just going to go straight into the tips. First one is making sure you're confident with your script if you have one. Now, a lot of people ask me, do you have to have a script? No, you don't. But personally, I would highly recommend one, just so that you feel a lot safer in your DR. I personally don't know how I would shift without having a script there. Not as in like it's impossible to shift without a script, because it's very much not, but as in like for my own peace of mind. Because like obviously in my script I have that I can't die, that I've got my safe word scripted allowing me to come back to my CR. So it's just things like that that I feel like if I didn't have, I would definitely wouldn't feel safe in my DR. But if you don't want a script and you're not about that life, then you do you, boo. But I personally do recommend a script. But so my biggest tip for scripting is make sure you're confident in your script. And by this, I mean make sure you're happy with it. Make sure everything that you've included in your script, you're certain on. Because my first script that I made, I wasn't very happy with it. I'm very much a perfectionist, and I didn't like the layout of my script. I didn't like the way that I had described things. I also felt like some of the things that I'd scripted, I had only scripted because other creators had scripted it. Like I didn't actually want that to happen in my DR. So that's probably one of the main reasons why it took me a bit longer to shift, because I wasn't fully happy with my script. And I did change it about a month in, but that whole month to me was just wasted, because it was always in the back of my mind that I wasn't fully happy with it. So just make sure you are happy with your script, or you're happy with the point that it's at, or you're happy with where you've finished it, because I just know from personal experience, and this may just be the mind of a perfectionist, that me not being fully happy with the layout and how I set it all up really bothered me. So that's probably what postponed my shifting journey quite a bit. I will be doing a video on how to structure and write a script. That'll be my next video. There may be a vlog in between, but that'll be my next like shifting video, because a lot of people have asked that. So I'll just be giving you guys key things to include in your script, how to lay it out, how to structure it. But for now, I will not be doing that. I'm just giving you the tip. Make sure you're happy with your script. Okay, tip number 2 is changing your mindset. A lot of people in my comments are always like, oh, I can't shift, like I know I never shift, I'm not going to be able to get there. And trust me, that was me before I'd shifted. But that negative mindset does not get you anywhere, trust me. I was so doubtful when I started shifting. Like I always had the thought in the back of my head like, oh, I know I'm not going to successfully shift tonight. Like, oh, I bet it's probably just like some big inside joke. And because my head wasn't in the right like space, of course I wasn't successfully shifting, because my mindset wasn't right. I had a very negative mindset. And I know it's easier said than done just to change your mindset, because after so many failed attempts, how could you still have motivation and have a positive mindset? But trust me, it is one of my key pieces of advice, and probably one of my biggest tips is to try and stay positive. Because honestly, your mood, like there is so much that can affect your focus and like your end goal, and your mindset is probably one of the biggest ones. So also, if you feel that your negative mindset is unshiftable, but like you feel like you really can't be positive about this, like there's too many failed attempts, like you just feel like you want to give up, maybe it's healthy just to have a bit of a break, even if it's just a couple of days where you just try not to even think about shifting. Just give yourself that like room, give yourself that time off, because I personally think I tried to overdo it in the first couple of months, and it became very overwhelming having so many failed attempts one after the other. So it is difficult to keep a positive mindset during all of that. But one thing to help, which kind of interlinks with, like, these two tips interlink together, is daily affirmations. Now, I'm not really one to sit in front of a mirror and say daily affirmations to myself. I'm a very, very awkward person, even around myself. Like, I just am awkward. And I have tried saying daily affirmations in the mirror before and I've just cringed at myself. Like, I literally can't do it. So one thing that I started doing, which I highly recommend for you guys, is writing down positive affirmations every single morning. And these aren't just, I mean, you can write just like general affirmations like I am pretty, I am beautiful, I deserve everything. But all of the affirmations I wrote down in the mornings were purely just shifting based. Let me get my notebook actually. Okay, it's my Twilight shifting script, but obviously this wasn't my Twilight shifting script when I was doing my daily affirmations, because shifting to Twilight came way after me successfully shifting. But it was just a blank notebook before, and I used to just do it in the back of this. So like, I literally just used to write them down every single morning. The affirmations I used to use, I'll like list them up on the screen as well, is I can shift, I will shift, I will get to my DR, I am able to shift, I will have motivation, I believe in myself. And the reason I wrote these down is because I watched a YouTube video about manifesting, and I had it in the back of my head that writing them down every single morning would manifest that I would shift. And also I don't know if it was placebo or what it was, but I had it in my head that if I wrote it down every single morning, I would have a higher chance of shifting. Or you can say them to yourself, if you're not socially awkward like me and can say affirmations, then just, excuse my dog barking, my sister's home. I'm gonna carry on anyway. So yeah, highly recommend that to sort of help with a positive mindset. Tip number 3, don't get caught up on one method. I, for a long time, had my heart set on the piano method, because if you didn't know, the reason I sort of got into shifting was because of Courtney, Court Crux, and she used the piano method, and I'd seen the piano method around a lot, so I was like, oh, well, that's the method that I want to use to shift. And I tried that method for so long, failed attempt after failed attempt, and I don't know what it was, but because my favourite creator at the time was using that method, and because that was the first method I ever discovered, and I hadn't really like gone out to scope out and see, and because I didn't really have like the motivation or the effort to go and try out all these different methods and research different methods that I could use, I just stuck with that one for so long. And so my biggest tip is, if a method doesn't work for you after about 3 or 4 attempts, move on, do a new one. If it doesn't work after 1 attempt, don't let that ruin it. Give it a good 3 or 4 attempts. But if after that you're still not even getting anywhere, no symptoms, no nothing, that method is not for you. And the reason I stress this so much is because I was literally in that position where I wasted so much of my time on one method that did not work for me. Your favourite creators' methods may not work for you. The methods that we use and we recommend aren't guaranteed to work. They might, but it's not guaranteed. It took me a while to find a method that I was fully comfortable with. Also, if you find a method that you're quite enjoying, but you just feel like it's not fully getting you there, or there's parts of it that distract you, or parts of it that you're not really too sure on, that you don't really like, you can edit it, you can change it, you can take bits out, you can add bits in. Methods aren't a set thing. You don't have to follow a method exactly step by step of what they say to do or how they say to use it. Like for me personally, everyone asks what method I use. I basically use the Julia method, but I don't do the counting because I didn't like that. That distracted me way too much. I hated it. So I took out the counting part, and that is the method I use now. It's technically my own method because it's not essentially the Julia method. But yeah, I did that, I took that part out, and I now have more successful shifting attempts than I ever used to do with using Julia method the original way. Shifting is such a personal experience, and you need to figure out exactly what is going to work for you and what isn't. And that moves on to my next tip, which is something that I've never really shared because I've never really seen anybody else do it, and I didn't know if it was weird or not, but I'm going to mention it on here. Is I had a shifting log, which I can't show you because I'm filming on my phone and I did my shifting log on my notes on my phone, but if you want I can do a TikTok on it, like giving you screenshots of the sort of things that I wrote on there. But basically a shifting log, I just got this idea because I love documenting things. I love like diaries and writing and stuff like that. So at the beginning of my shifting journey, I used to write down methods I was trying out. To be fair, I didn't start this until about a month into my shifting journey. But basically with a shifting log, every night that you attempt to shift, write down the method that you're trying that night, and then say the morning after, write down everything that you experienced. So say if you experienced symptoms or not, you'd write down the symptoms you experienced, or if you didn't experience any, then you'd write down no symptoms experienced. Write down the subliminals maybe that you listened to, the motivation videos you watched before, the meditation you did before. Just document everything that you did pre-shifting and whilst trying to shift, so that then you can look back on that and see what worked and what didn't. This helped me so much. So say like I would write down and document every single time I tried to shift, and then I could look back on it and be like, right, so when I did that meditation video and looked at those visual inspiration Pinterest boards and used this method, I got these symptoms. But when I did all of that exactly the same but used this other method and got no symptoms, then you'll realise, okay, that other method is not for me, I will keep using this method. It's just a way to figure out like what motivation videos work best for you, what meditation works best, what subliminals work best. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? I'm scared I'm making it sound really complicated, but you basically just document everything that you watched and everything that you used the night that you shift, so then you can look back on it and see what has worked for you and what hasn't. So by like a month or two in, I knew exactly what meditation videos that worked best for me and what got me focused the most. I knew what motivation videos and what motivation boards to look at and watch and read about prior to shifting. I knew what subliminals worked best for me, and I knew what methods worked best for me because I had documented it and I had it all in front of me, so I knew what I was meant to be doing. So I highly recommend that, and I will happily do a video on a shifting log if you want to see that. But yeah, I don't know what number I'm on now, so I'm going to say next tip is meditate more. Now by this I mean don't just meditate pre-shift. Say if you wake up from a failed shifting attempt, meditate that morning. Doesn't have to be a shifting related meditation, but like a focus meditation for the day, or getting your head in the right headspace for the day, or I don't know, manifesting good luck for today. Like there's so many meditation videos out there. One like sort of, I don't know if they're a brand, I don't know what you call them, but one like channel that I really love is Headspace. They are not sponsored, but they are literally like my favourite meditation like app / YouTube channel ever. So I highly recommend them. But yeah, if you wake up from a failed attempt, definitely try and meditate that morning, just to help keep yourself positive, help keep yourself in the right sort of headspace, and just setting yourself up for success later on in the day. Another one, don't stress over how long it's taking you. This is something that I used to focus on way too much. I'd be like, oh, another day that I failed to shift. Oh, another day that I failed to shift. And I see a lot of it in my comments, like, oh, it's been 4 months and I still haven't shifted. And trust me, I know it's frustrating. Like, I know firsthand how frustrating it is, so I'm not belittling that or anything. But focusing on how long it's taking you is not going to get you anywhere. If anything, it's just going to postpone your journey even more. You should be focusing more on, okay, there was another failed attempt, but that means I'm one more attempt closer to a successful attempt. Try and keep it as positive as you can. I know it's so difficult, but positivity is probably the key thing in shifting, because you're using your head so much, and that's where it's all being stored. This is where it all roots from. It depends what mood you're in, it depends how comfortable you are. Like, there's so much going on in here that you need to take care of that first, which leads on to my next tip, which is make sure you have no distractions prior to shifting. If there's something in the back of your head that is bothering you, then you're not going to be able to focus on shifting to a different reality. You're going to need to eliminate that problem first of all. the thing for me that used to really irritate me was my bedroom. Like my bedroom is always messy. I'm quite a messy person. That never used to really bother me. Like obviously when sleeping and stuff like that never used to bother me at all. But as soon as I used to like, this is like prior to me ever trying to shift, but like I used to sit down to do my homework and be like, I can't focus because my room is messy. I need to tidy my room first. And I'm not saying like you need a tidy room to shift, that's not what I'm saying at all, but I'm saying like that was a distraction to me, how messy my room was. And if my room was not tidy, I could not focus on shifting that night. So I highly recommend getting everything off your sort of mental to-do list done before even trying to shift, so that you have a clear mind. So say if there's a bit of homework that you know that you need to get done for the next day, do that first. Like any kind of distractions, make sure you get rid of them. I think you could probably see the running theme of biggest tip, you need a clear mind. And yeah, those are all the shifting tips that I can sort of think of. Those are the things that I started doing throughout my journey to help me start shifting, and the things that I personally think worked for me best. But again, this is just from my personal experience. I'm sure there's many shifting tip videos on YouTube which you can watch. So if none of these really tickled your fancy, or if you're like, I don't want to write down affirmations every single morning, then that's literally fine. Like these are just what I did, so I hope that my experience can help you. But that's the only advice I can give you. I'm not going to give advice based off of things that I haven't tried out myself, or like I'm not just going to give random advice that I think might work for people, because I don't know if it does. So this is all just coming from my personal experience and what personally helped me shift. And yeah, I'll film that script video very soon and get that up for you guys as quick as I can. But I hope you enjoyed these tips. I love you all very much, and thank you for watching. Bye!